So in reaction to Israel's latest war crime, or one of them, actually now it's a couple of weeks old, this is an irate citizen of the world responding to Israel's crime where they killed the 7 workers for a World Central Kitchen. Israel has lately chosen to commit a crime that shows it to be so unfit. There is no alternative to total cessation of warlike actions, so no more commission of attacks on bringers of food or medicine can happen again. Israel, you must not more sin. Sin no more, Israel, for shame no more. No more murders the world must abhor. No more missiles of destruction must rain on bringers of mercy. Are you insane? Against humanity itself, you committed treason by killing the workers of World Central Kitchen. 7 heroes who only wanted to serve, victims of war. Did they deserve to be shot down by vicious fascists? First, we must demand Israel desist. The 7 killed by your obvious intention. Their deaths require the apprehension of all those involved to the most highest position. They deserve life sentences, severe detention for such a monstrous and vile crime. Deterrence is needed fully this time. This reminds us of the outrages of the Nazis, and there must be no more such atrocities. I wrote something earlier. I revised it considerably. I'd read this for a poetry reading down in Southside Tangible Bookstore back in January. And this was in considering artificial intelligence and the bubble caused by it in the stock market, and also all the attention paid to it. I once wrote a play about artificial intelligence in which I hypothesized what would happen if we were lucky enough to have an ethical artificial intelligence. But it seems, unfortunately, we are in between right now. We're in a period of time where we don't know where this will lead. So this poem responds to that. When considering artificial intelligence, we still must do our due diligence. And in our human intel extrapolator, yes, to be aware of the terminator. AI can be either good or bad, or something in between, like 3D fab. That never really works very well, does it? Do we want the answer quick or slow? The latter, if to death we must go. Oh, sure, we'll be able to control the AI. No need for humans all having to die. A middle ground for a while, we can try. Large unemployment. Artists can mostly cry. Anyone without money or a very special skill can whimper quietly with crushed human will. For a while, some poor can join a Peace Corps. Famous writers can tell AI, oh, make me more. The rich get richer. At least with robots to fight all the wars. It could lead to games being played by our dictators. The AIs won't all be sadists necessarily. Perhaps some will favor robo-philanthropy. When the Supreme Court for a bribe allows courteously that each wealthy robot or AI entity to pay little taxes and join the oligarchy, maybe some comedy robots will write AI levity. There can be an even larger human underclass. Trump will be fine with it, you bet your sassafras. As long as the entities will pay obeisance He won't care much about their coming sentience. If not Trump, Biden may make an effort, but the robot lawyers will say, be a sport. He'd probably submit well-meaning legislation, but in no way will it be likely to break the filibustration. Well, let's not give up. Let's give it a shot. We've got Elon Musk and some experts we've got who've experienced their half-hearted reservations, or maybe they meant their remonstrations. So if they take from Asimov their cue, famous science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, whose laws of robotics are under modern review. Law number 1, to a human do no harm. The robots. To a human do no harm. If enforced to the AIs, it could reduce our alarm. Law number 0, Asimov's better thought, is exactly what we all should have sought. A robot may not let humanity come to harm. There you go. Good and brief, and with a certain charm. The law, the 0th law of robotics. If somehow something similar could be imbued, they'd have to protect every woman and dude. And also humanity as a whole. Well, shouldn't that be our worldwide goal? How to effect such for mankind and each person? Hopefully some AI genius takes my direction. Well, can't help that. Maybe it'll happen. Please come together, experts, undeniable, and come up with a system to make AI accountable. In the meantime, I mean to use my own AI. Actual intelligence. I mean to use my own AI. Yes, I repeated that. This actual intelligence sounds good. Oh my! Or maybe use the initials AHI. Actual human intelligence to defy the narrative that's been losing us ground. Our Promethean humanity should be unbound. In a case that's kind of been in the news lately. Our jurors ought to have protection from the MAGAs who did the insurrection. What's up with that? We can smell a rat. How is it at a corrupt justice's discretion? Okay, well, he's probably not corrupt, but he hasn't said that he'll protect the jurors. What are they going to do? I mean, look here in this city. There's so much going on. Anyway, I hope they all are able to show up on Monday. Anyhow, Donald Trump is now on trial. Of what he did, there's no denial. We all know the facts. We're afraid of false acts, like in jury nullification style. That could happen in a few weeks if there's a Trump around the jury. We all know that. Let's see, number 3. Okay, now this has to do with something. Events are happening so fast, it's hard for a poor poet to keep up. I had mentioned something on a previous time I read poetry here, that Biden ought to get his act together and get the frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. It's a complicated subject. Biden has ways to do it, but because he drags his feet about some things, he didn't do it. But what's interesting is that it might be being done. The 60 or 61 billion dollars that needs to go to Ukraine immediately, if possible, did pass the House today. Now, whether it went to the Senate and it's actually going to be a bill that Biden can sign, and he probably won't waste time signing it, and hopefully he'll get that 60 billion. But it's been dragging on for 3 or 4 months if you haven't been following. and the Republicans have mainly been the problem of getting that $60 billion to them. Biden has been the problem, and also the House also. My friend TJ here was filming me right now. We were both at a town hall, Sean Casten. He wouldn't respond to me when I was saying the House needs to get this moving. It has to really push to get it to Biden's desk, the frozen Russian assets. And he was just, putting me off and talking about how he was going to work on the sequester, but sanctioned people. Okay, well that is a very small percentage of the assets. In any case, the frozen Russian assets may be on their way to Ukraine soon, but at least that $60 billion should be. But I have to say that we do hate it when Biden drags his heels. As Republican intransigence, I say Republican. Everyone knows a con artist, biggest con artist in the world is Trump. As Republican intransigence congeals, when Congress was blocked, Biden should have rocked and greased the Ukraine aid wheels. Grease the wheels to get, I cheated a little to rhyme. What the hell? Okay, so number 4, Mr. Biden, you should have advanced the cause that should have been enhanced by executive action instead of subtraction. You're delaying Ukraine's death. You chanced. Ukraine might have died in these 3 months. This is about our Speaker of the House, who is sometimes called Moscow Mike. He's actually Mike Johnson, but because he seems to have been in the pocket of Putin, and that's why he's called Moscow Mike. Now, what happened is that the Democrats had something called a discharge petition going, and that is going to come to the fore soon. So he did actually decide, well, I'm going to do something. And one of the things he is doing was finally passing that, with the Democrats' help, that bill for the $60 billion, and also this repo bill, which will enable the Russian frozen assets that are in the United States to go to Ukraine. So he's doing that. I never even thought of Moscow Mike. He'd ever do something I'd like. This bill called repo could have the assets go to Ukraine so they can have their defense spike. Okay, now that was a little bit comical, although it's very serious. But I would like to do a very serious poem here. This is a homage to Robert Frost. Many of you know about Robert Frost. Some of you who are young might not know, but he was a very famous poet, United States poet. He once gave the... Thank you. This is an homage to Frost. Many of you probably have heard of the poem where he's on a horse and he's on a journey, and he doesn't know if he's going to make it or not, but his horse is kind of reluctant to go because it's snowing, it's very cold. It's sort of cold like now, where's the heat? But one of the famous lines is, "My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, and it's nothing to do with gay things." Shows you how dated the poem is. But his horse is reluctant to continue with the journey. But we have a journey in this country, and we're forced to take it. And in November, we'll find out whether the journey was successful or not. So he's taking his horse through the woods, but the deal here is that we have this journey we're going on as a country. So the stakes are high, I well do know. My work is clear, the way to go. Mighty are the obstacles, and vague the polling oracles. My little horse must think it odd that some people revere a god as evil as that fascist Trump. I have to spur his sluggish rump. There's less than a year until that day when America will choose its way. When, if that monster steals a win, his revengeful term will soon begin. Therefore, there is much work to do. Before that day, good people rule. The road before us shows a choice, much stress before we can rejoice. Into the woods of uncertainty, even if it seems in agony, the hatred of his goons to see, who wish to end democracy. We must move on and cannot rest until we win that election test. Before we know our country will keep, none of us can soundly sleep.